What is the story you're telling yourself, and how can magic better explain it? This is a condensed version of the lecture I have given for the past 5 years and developed across 5 years at the University of North Texas. This will be a fusion of magic, rhetoric, psychology, and human behavior all in one. There are 3 concepts we're going to go over, and all with the example of one magic trick. This is a simple red ball. It's very much a like a clown nose, if you can see, right? Very much like a clown nose. But as you can see, it disappears. This is known as the French drop. It is one of the oldest tricks of magic. It's very much public domain at this point. You can open up any magic book and find this. This is Magic 101, and this is very much how the classic uncle trick where they reach behind your ear and find a quarter. This is how it's done. So we're going to walk through a little bit about how this works and the 3 principles that can be derived from this magic trick as an example of psychology and human behavior. So the first one is that of sleight of hand. Whenever people hear sleight of hand, you hear it as an explanation for magic, but people don't really understand what that means. Here is the first concept, lesson number 1. The larger motion covers the smaller motion. The larger motion covers the smaller motion. We as humans are evolved behaviorally and psychologically to follow that what will be much more threatening to us. If something large is moving towards us quickly, that is what our brain will register as most important. Using this principle, because our attention is focused there, we then almost zone out everything else. So here's what's happening. The larger motion of the ball and my hand moving this way as the ball goes here, that larger motion, boom, covers the smaller motion of me doing this in this hand, in my right hand, of hiding it in my hand. So in slow motion, this is what it looks like. It starts here. As I turn, the slower motion, the smaller motion goes into my hand here. So one more time. So here, boom. Okay, you kind of saw it that time, yeah. The larger motion, right? Boom. People create the expectation in the story. I'm flashing. There we go. People create the expectation in the story of this larger motion. And by doing that, they actually misperceive and don't even recognize the smaller motion of it being held in my hand. What does this mean, right? How do we apply this to our daily lives? Well, I think one of the clearest examples historically has always been politics. In politics, during the times whenever there's been either a great scandal or something that the ruling class would not want perceived or did not want people to know about, they would create or manufacture a scandal or something dramatic, right? A big emotional headline. So everyone's attention will be focused on that. Big, huge headline happens while something gets passed silently in Congress, something like that, right? Or a policy decision gets quietly passed. Everyone's focused on this big outrage. No one notices such and such bill that's being passed. That's just one real world example of how this applies at a scale level, right? It can be as granular as a magic trick like this, or as political as an entire nation. So just a way of thinking, right? The larger motion covers the smaller motion. Number 2, the second concept is that of the RAS, the reticular activation system. This is the part of your brain that allows you to really focus on what's important. It's the filtering system that decides what's important and what isn't. Have you ever bought a new car, and right when you get in the car, you start seeing that everyone else is driving that same car? That's that same RAS at work. The reality is the same, but your brain has now been trained to filter and search for it. The other example is you can be in a room of many, many people, right? You've been in a room of many, many people, and yet you hear your name and you instantly react to it. Your brain was always listening to it, but somehow you always know that your name's important, so boom, your brain automatically filters it out. It's always listening, but it filters out what you want to and not shouldn't pay attention to. What's important to understand is that it's not the reality that's changing, it's just your selective focus. And your brain trains itself across years and decades into what to focus on and what not to focus on. This is why, for example, you can have the exact same situation. It may be the exact same scenario for everyone else, but one person may perceive it as an opportunity and the other person might see it as a problem. For example, you could say, okay, I got a flat tire, right? You get a flat tire. That can be for someone just based off their perspective, just based off their RAS flip. They can see it as, you know what, this sucks, but this is an opportunity for me to learn how to change my flat tire. For someone else, oh, it's like the worst thing in the world. They just ruin their day. The reality is still the same. It's outside of yourself, but your perspective, your RES, changes, and it changes how you interpret that situation. And this is the most beautiful thing about being a human, is that you can choose whether you see the glass half empty or half full. That's an incredible power that we have as humans. Why does this apply to magic? Well, in RES, there's a reason this ball is red. It's very bright, right? It essentially, and also why I chose this color, it pops against the black of my suit and my shirt. I want you to focus on this, right? There's another subtle thing too. This is specific to magicians, but it does not apply it can apply to all performers. But as an audience member, you will look where the performer is looking. You will look where the magician is looking. So I'm looking here, boom, the focus is all in here. And now I follow, and my gaze follows here. Once I do the actual move, you're much more likely to look up here because I'm looking up here, right? My RAS says this is focus here. So your brain interprets it, oh, I should look where he's looking. And that's where we get the RES flip there. So something to kind of keep that in mind. So as a magician, I'm not trying to control your eyes. I'm trying to influence what your brain decides is important. So I'm trying to influence your gaze and everything, but more than anything, I'm trying to get your brain to focus on what I want you to focus. And that leads us up to the next and final concept, which is that of pattern creation, expectations, and then subversion, and how we can use this for fear, joy, or wonder. So what I mean, in comedy, one of the most classic concepts is the idea of the setup and punchline. But what's actually happening is that it's more like setup, punchline. You're creating a situation, giving the audience like a little bit something different here, and then boom, you subvert the expectation. If you've ever seen the movie The Prestige by Christopher Nolan, it's that concept of the pledge, the turn, the prestige. You show the audience something ordinary, you do something extraordinary, and then you have the prestige at the end, like the truly amazing meaning at the end. What I'm doing when I perform this trick is I do it 3 times. The first time, I just do it very casually, and I actually put the ball in my hand, but I do the exact same motion as if I did the move. The reason I'm doing this is that it accustoms the audience to create an expectation of what's going to happen. So I'm trying to create a story in your mind. We're always telling stories in our mind. And essentially, I'm trying to get you to lie to yourself, to tell yourself the wrong story. By setting up, this move in this way twice, your brain is writing the script. By the 3rd time, I don't have to convince you anymore. You convince yourself. That's what I love about this, right? When I finally then do the move, right? Okay, boom. Okay, I just dropped it, but but you see how this works, right? Story 1, you see something cool. Story 2, same thing. So then you assume, okay, the first and second were correct. The 3rd one should be the same, but boom, that's when I do the flip, right? Same thing in comedy. They give you 2 scenarios that look similar, feel the same, feel ordinary, and then they boom, send you another twist, and that creates comedy, creates an emotional reaction. And that emotional reaction is what magicians, and everyone, of course, calls wonder. So just to recap this, so first, of course, it's the idea that the larger motion covers a smaller motion. Second is the idea of your reticular activation system. You can use this in your own life. I mean, another example we do as an exercise for this is look around your room and see and count how many things are blue. 1, 2, 3. How many things did you see were green? What? Okay. The reason we do this is whenever you look around your room, especially under a high stress environment or limited time, you are going to filter in more things that would ostensibly be blue, even if it's like teal or a little darker blue or maybe even purple, but you would consider it blue because you're looking for blue. You're not looking for green. So when I ask you for green, you're like, oh, I wasn't even looking for green, although the room may have more green things than blue things. This is the same thing when you're looking for opportunities or looking for problems, you will oftentimes find what you're looking for. So be very, very aware of that power and the power it has in your own life, right? And know that you have the power over to change it, right? You can change what you're looking for. And finally, pattern creation and expectation, right? The story that you tell yourself. And this is something we have to be very aware of, right? Because of the stories we tell ourselves, right? I always love to use the example of music, right? Where especially EDM music, like electronic music, does this to a T, where there's a straight, solid buildup of the music. Boom, 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 boom. And then it reaches the apex, it reaches the crescendo, and then there's silence. this is what we call the drop, right? The break before the drop. And there's like that tension, that right? And then boom, the music comes back in, right? But you need that little tension before. It's the reason that tension is created is your mind gets so used to the rhythm of the music that then it feels, it creates an emotional reaction when the music goes away and it's pure silence. And then your brain wants to fill in that space. It wants to fill in that gap. And it finally is satisfied once the music drops back in. This is also why some DJs will play with the audience where they will create that rise, they'll stop, and they'll actually let the pause go for a little bit longer and then bring the music back. So it's just a fascinating concept that applies across different disciplines and mediums. So I hope this kind of condensed version of the lecture will help you in your life. And if you'd like to learn more about magic or rhetoric, I'll be posting some more videos as well, specifically about speaking, how to be a better speaker, and how using rhetoric and magic can help make your talks a little bit more magical. Thank you guys. Stay classy.